Shalom, when it's off, source by giving up praise to Yahweh, B'Hashem Yahushua, B'Hashem Kadash. Double honor to the apostles of great Milestone, and honor to you brothers doing the work of the Most High in truth and in sincerity. Yahweh's real name, of whom the world ignorantly calls God, Jehovah, Yahweh. His real name is Yahweh. Son's true name is Yahweh Shai, and when we pray Yahweh, B'Hashem Yahushua, B'Meaning in, Harmony down, Sham, meaning names Yahweh, and the name of Yahweh Shai. Just wanted to touch on this real quick. This is on, just the little bit of, not a little bit, but the market manipulation, that happened earlier on, basically since the weekend, where if you remember Friday, Trump is basically, coming out and saying, if they don't do this, then we're gonna, completely destroy Iran's energy infrastructure, which, mind you, he don't, that's would have been a war crime. But we understand that this man, he don't care about even his own laws, right? But you see, 5 minutes before Trump's announcement, right, 1.5, which these numbers couldn't validate them, right? But basically, the assertion being made is that there was just a hell of a lot of insider trading, right? Which that's just this what this man does, right? It's just Sirach 10 and 8. It says, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, right? The kingdom is translated from one people to another, right? And that's all this man does. This man is just a straight thief, man, right? He's constantly stealing. He's constantly, creating ways to take more and more money from people. So I was trying to multitask, couldn't speak, right? False balance. So it says Proverbs 11 and 1, right? It says a false balance is abomination to Yahweh, but a just way is his delight, right? Because when you look into exactly what money is according to the scripture, right? It's assets, right? It's this, right? It says Genesis 13 and 2, right? It says Abraham was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold, right? Now you think about cattle, right? You don't just have a cow. You don't just have 10 cows, right? In what you call it, in your garden, right? Cows need space. They need to move. They need pasture to graze on, right? There's a whole infrastructure that's required to maintain cattle. Okay, you need to ways to store food for the winter, all of that sort of stuff, right? A good show on that is Clarkson's Farm, right? It shows you just the things involved in rearing cattle, right? And not just rearing cattle, but having a farm in general. So for Abraham to be very rich in cattle, right? Never actually looked at this word, rich, but be rich, really, yeah. Right, so basically, yeah, he was very rich. He had a lot, but these are real riches according to the scriptures, right? Silver and gold, right? But what does Esau give you? He gives you unjust balances, a false balance, okay, which is why he's able to just so easily manipulate it, okay, right? So this is, let me see what this precept says. It's Sirach 33:15. Why is this a precept? Oh yeah, balance. About balance. Speaking of the balance of the Most High, right? The Most High doesn't like imbalanced things, right? And everything. So then, would you call it? You actually then go and see, right, after Trump's basically saying, oh yeah, I spoke with them, right? Because that's the response from the Iranians, which the Iranians, from the theater that we've been presented, have basically lived up to every single promise that they've basically pushed out. That they said, look, you hit us here, we'll hit you there. You hit us there, we'll hit you there, right? So they said, look, man, you hit our energy infrastructure, we'll destroy, the Arabian countries' energy infrastructure also. So it's always kind of gonna be like oh yeah, are we actually gonna go here right now? Okay. Which the game plan that the elites have is, no, we're not gonna go there right now, okay. But let's read this, right? Because that's the thing. Right now, we honestly don't know what is true. We don't actually know what the hell is happening. We don't know if there was a over if there was a plan, but then Israel and America overstepped, and Iran's like, no, right? We don't know, ultimately any, what the truth actually is, which is why ultimately we always just filter things out by the precepts, right? Which we understand that this man is getting ready to put together this MOTB infrastructure, right? Which, regardless of whether it was, whether it was a miscalculation, or whether they went too far, or whether it's all controlled, right? We understand that the actual infrastructure for the MOTB is being furthered, right? This is Revelation 13 and 16. It says, and he calls us all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Okay, and when it says all, it means that whether you're regular Joe, right, or you're a famous person, right, whether you're rich, poor, right, whether you're walking around or you're in the prison houses, right, he's gonna make the situation such that basically people will end up taking this MOTB, right? It says, and that no man might bow or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name, right? So no matter where, where you go, right? In the quote unquote, majority of the world, not quote unquote, but in the majority of the world, you ain't gonna be able to, just pay for stuff without this thing, or be able to do anything without this thing. Right, the trial run of that was during the CV, right, when if you didn't have clearance, right, that you had taken the juice, you couldn't partake in certain activities, you couldn't go to certain places, okay. And that is the system that this man wants, right? This man just wants everyone in pure servitude and slavery, okay, right, to basically oppress the people, right? Because that's what this man loves to do, right? So what the scripture says of when he's taken down, right, refers to him as the oppressor, right? Isn't that what I said? 1p. Right, as Isaiah 14 and 4, it says that thou shalt take up this parable against the king of Babylon and say, how hath the oppressor ceased, the golden city ceased, right? And this man is the oppressor, man, right? That's what he's done. He's gone around the whole world just oppressing, right? Even just from the optics, once again, we understand there are things that are happening behind the scenes, but from the optics of what it is that we're presented, right? You just had mans in Iran chilling, right? They knew deep down that now we can't actually fight the Americans. Like, bro, that's a suicide mission, right? But then out of nowhere, they are, not out of nowhere, but they're basically making deals with the Americans. You read the Oman foreign minister, right? Well, I think it's the foreign minister, but the Omani representative that was basically saying, look, man, this wasn't even on Iran. Iran didn't do this. Like, this is all basically America and Israel, right? Because Iran was at the negotiating table, right, ready to do. And then guess what? Esau comes with his weaponry, right, and he starts killing people, right? But that's why the scripture says this of him. This is Psalms 140 from the top. It says, deliver me, O Yahweh, right, from the evil man, preserve me from the violent man, which imagine mischiefs in their heart, continually are they gathered together for war, right? And this devil is exactly what he does, continually gathered together for war, right? War is in his heart, right? We can grab that also, right? Because that was actually an example of something that happened, right? In this, but let me grab this, right? Start from 19, right? It says Psalms 50 and 19 says, thou givest thy mouth to evil, thy tongue frameth deceit, right? And that's it. He's always lying. This Edomite is always lying. That's why he cannot be trusted, okay? Thou sittest and speaks against thy brother, thou slanderest thine own mother's son. And with all of this, he's going to find ways to start to put Jake in the spotlight, right? It says, these things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such an one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes. It's not what the one I wanted, actually. Salakia. I've got two precepts jumbled up, right? But did want to get Psalms 50 and 19 anyway, right? So Psalms 50 and I'll start from 20. He hath put forth his hand against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. This is Esau's MO. He's constantly breaking, peace treaties and agreements. Just look at his relationship, right? With Jake, you know. Look at his relationship with Jake and all of the all of the different treaties that he created with, say, the Northern Kingdom, like Gad and Reuben, right? And then he just broke them all, right? Verse 21 says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. Right? His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords, right? So that's it. He will come talking talking peace, but really, he's trying to find ways to kill you, right? Now, I wanted to just jump on this real quick because you know how it is with a lot of misinformation and a lot of the word assertions, which let's look up. Let's go into that word real quick. Assertions, right? This is assertion, right? It says in a regular dictionary, it says a statement that you strongly believe is true. I certainly don't agree with his assertion that men are better drivers than women, right? Assertion, which that's not really how this word is normally used. Yeah, this word is normally used kind of differently, but it's like when someone is assert, they're basically saying that something is true, right? They're telling you that it is true, okay? But yeah, so that's me learning something, okay? But yeah, the point is, there's a lot of stuff you see online that you're basically like, yo, is this actually true or is it not true? So I was just running it through the robot, right? Which is, this robot has spirit has had me call this, the ministry of truth, okay? Because this is exactly what these guys are using it for, right? Says so first I said validate these statements, and it's like, oh yeah, it's not true, this, that, and the other, right? But then I was like, I mean, more validate the actual open source data, right? And it basically goes and says, actually, pretty much the statements being made, rather the spirit of the post is accurate, okay? And so I just wanted to mention that real quick because that's just what you always see of these things, these fact checkers, right? And I'll just end on this, right? It says James 5:1 says, go to now, you rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. You have heaped treasures together for the last days. Okay, so all of these riches, everything that he, in fact, we can end with that. All right, right, all these riches, right? He's gonna spill them back up, man. Right, all of these riches that he has basically obtained in wickedness. It's Job 20:15. He hath swallowed down riches, and he shall vomit them up again. The Most High shall cast them out of his belly. Okay. Let's see what precept we have. This is Job 27:16. Though he heap up silver as the dust and prepare raiment as the clay, he may prepare it, but the just shall put it on, and the innocent shall divide the silver. Right. So yeah, as always, Lord's will always edify. Until next time we say, Shalom.